The morning our mom died, the world did not stop. The sun rose over the cracked sidewalks of our small town. The school bus groaned past our house at exactly 7:12 a.m., and the wind still pushed dust across the old highway like nothing had changed. But inside our home, everything had changed. The silence was so loud it felt like it was pressing against our ears. No humming in the kitchen. No smell of toast burning because she was distracted by our stories. No gentle voice calling us to wake up. It was just me and my little sister standing in the doorway of her room, staring at the empty bed. People tell you that time heals. They don't tell you what to do with the mornings. Mornings were the hardest. That was when Mom used to sit us down on the wooden stool by the window and braid our hair before school. She said braids were like armor. When your hair is neat and tight, she would whisper, fingers moving quickly and gently, you can face the world with your head high. After she was gone, the braids were gone too. I tried. I really did. I watched videos. I practiced on my sister's hair at night. But my fingers felt clumsy, impatient. The parts were crooked. The strands slipped loose before we even reached the end of the driveway. Kids at school noticed. They always notice. Did you even look in a mirror this morning? One girl laughed. My sister lowered her head. That hurt more than the teasing. We didn't tell anyone how much we missed those braids. Because it wasn't really about hair. It was about the feeling of being cared for. About someone taking time, every single morning, to say without words, you matter. A week after the funeral, we were late for school. I had overslept after crying half the night. We rushed out the door with tangled hair flying in every direction. The bus had already gone, so we had to walk. That's when we passed the old Stagecoach stop. It sat at the edge of town, a weathered wooden structure that most people ignored. Years ago, travelers used to rest there. Now it was mostly a landmark people gave directions by. Turn left at the old Stagecoach stop. And under its sagging roof lived a woman everyone simply called the homeless lady. She had gray-streaked hair, wrapped in a faded scarf. Layers of mismatched clothes hung loosely on her thin frame. A shopping cart stood beside her, filled with blankets and plastic bags. Most people avoided eye contact. Some left coins near the wooden post. Others crossed the street. We had never spoken to her before. But that morning, as we hurried past, she called out softly, "Girls." We froze. Her voice wasn't rough like we expected. It was warm. "Careful. You're going to school like that?" she asked, tilting her head. I felt defensive immediately. "We're late," I muttered. She studied us for a moment, her eyes lingering on my sister's messy hair. Then she said something that made my chest tighten. "Your mama used to braid it down the middle, didn't she?" The world seemed to stop again. "How do you know that?" I asked. She smiled gently. "I see more than people think." She patted the wooden bench beside her. "Come here. I've got time." We hesitated. We had been taught not to talk to strangers, not to trust people who lived on the streets. But there was something in her eyes, something steady and kind, that felt familiar. My sister stepped forward first. The woman pulled a comb from her bag. It was old but clean. She sprayed a little water from a plastic bottle and began separating the strands with careful precision. Her fingers moved with confidence. "You start with 3 even sections," she murmured. "Then you cross the right over the middle, then the left over the middle. Keep the tension firm, but not too tight." I stood there stunned. Within minutes, my sister's hair was transformed. 2 perfect braids laying neatly over her shoulders, smooth and symmetrical. Just like Mom used to do. My sister touched them, eyes wide. "They're just like hers," she whispered. The woman nodded. "Every girl deserves to walk into school feeling proud." Then she looked at me. "Your turn." I sat down slowly. As her fingers worked through my hair, I felt something I hadn't felt in days, peace. The gentle pull of each strand, the rhythmic crossing, the warmth of another human being taking care of me. "Thank you," I said quietly. She leaned closer. "What was your mother's name?" When I told her, she closed her eyes for a brief moment. "She used to smile at me when she drove by. Most people don't." Tears burned behind my eyes. From that day on, every morning before school, we stopped at the old Stagecoach stop. At first, we were embarrassed. What if someone saw us? What if they laughed? But the braids were always perfect. And slowly, something else changed too. We started talking. Her name was Eleanor. She had once been a hairdresser in another town. She showed us a faded photo of a small salon with her name on the window, Eleanor Styles. She told us about the regular customers she used to have, the weddings she prepared brides for, the little girls who spun in her chair with excitement. What happened? I asked one morning. She shrugged gently. Life. Bad choices. Some bad luck. Some bad people. She didn't go into details. She didn't complain. She simply kept braiding. One morning, as she finished tying the ends, my sister asked, "Why do you help us?" Eleanor smiled. "Because someone once helped me when I had nothing. And because your mama can't be here to do this anymore. So I can." Those words stayed with me all day. At school, people started noticing something different. Not just our hair, but us. We stood straighter. We smiled more. We raised our hands in class again. It's amazing what feeling cared for can do. One Friday, it rained heavily. I assumed Eleanor wouldn't be at the Stagecoach stop. But when we arrived, she was there, sitting deeper under the roof, keeping dry. She had brought a small mirror. "So you can see how beautiful you look before you go," she said. That was the morning I realized something important. She wasn't just braiding our hair. She was rebuilding our confidence, strand by strand. Word eventually spread. A teacher asked where we were getting our braids done. At first, I hesitated. But then I told the truth. There was silence. Instead of judgment, there was surprise. A week later, that same teacher stopped by the Stagecoach stop with a bag of supplies. New combs, hair ties, shampoo, conditioner. "For Eleanor," she said simply. Others followed. A warm blanket. A thermos. Clean clothes. But Eleanor accepted everything with grace, never expectation. One morning, as winter approached, my sister asked a question that had been lingering in both our hearts. "Eleanor," she said softly, "would you ever want a home again?" Eleanor paused mid-braid. "Of course," she admitted. "Everyone wants a place where they belong." That afternoon, I made a decision. I spoke to our school counselor. I told her everything. About the braids. About the rain. About the mirror. And something incredible began to happen. The town that once walked past Eleanor without seeing her started to notice. A fundraiser was organized. The local church offered temporary housing. A former client of Eleanor's, who recognized her name, offered her a part-time job at a salon in town. The day she stepped into that salon again, wearing clean clothes and holding a new set of professional tools, she cried. So did we. But the most beautiful morning came a month later. Instead of us going to the old Stagecoach stop, Eleanor knocked on our door. She stood there with a warm smile and a small styling kit in her hand. "Thought I'd make house calls," she joked. We sat by the window, just like we used to with Mom. Sunlight poured in. Eleanor braided our hair carefully, confidently. "You know," she said, tying the final knot, "your mama would be proud of how strong you two are." For the first time since Mom died, the mornings didn't feel so heavy. We learned something powerful through all of this. Sometimes help comes from the most unexpected places. Sometimes the people the world overlooks are the ones carrying the most love. And sometimes healing doesn't arrive in grand gestures. It arrives in small, consistent acts of kindness. 2 braids at a time. If this story touched your heart, if it reminded you that compassion still exists in this world, then I want you to carry that feeling forward. Look around you. Notice the people others ignore. A smile, a conversation, a small act of care can change someone's entire direction. And if you believe in stories that restore faith in humanity, stories that show how ordinary people can create extraordinary change, then make sure you subscribe to this channel. Because here, we share more than stories. We share hope. You never know which video might be the one that inspires you to become someone else's Eleanor. Thank you for listening. And remember, every morning is another chance to braid a little kindness into someone's life.